All right. What's up, guys? We are live. This is was a last minute impromptu live event that we wanted to do just because there's been a lot of hubbub recently on YouTube and on Facebook and Twitter regarding the situation with Non Sequitur Show. And so it's me and a couple people, and we actually have somebody that's actually involved in it tonight that we've got on the show. So we wanted to actually hear from the horse's mouth, kind of like what kind of stuff is going on and stuff. So we have Scientist Mel here with us. We have Jason Ellis here with us as weighing in on some of this stuff with us. And we also have David, aka Bullionator himself, actually. So what I wanted to get right into first was, I think that everybody kind of knows like what Steve has said and what Kyle has said about all this. And what I haven't seen, maybe it exists and I just haven't seen it, but I think probably a lot of people are with me on this, that we haven't really heard from you, Bullionator, on all this stuff yet. If you have, and there's somewhere we can go and look for that, go make sure you tell us where we can go look for that. But we just wanted to also kind of get with you and kind of get your take on it and what it's been like for you in this situation from your perspective. So if you would just kind of enlighten us and let us know what's going on.
Well, first of all, there's been a lot of extra mudslinging in all directions that I don't think is really, it's not constructive. People have already drawn a line, and they've made their their opinions very clear. That being said, I feel really torn up about the show itself. I was asked to do the show a little over a year ago, and I enjoyed doing it. I had just lost my job, and I was doing it not necessarily for the money at all, but at the point in time that this started to go sideways was probably, it's a lot longer ago than most people realize, but I would say probably 3 months ago is when I really took notice, because Kyle just stopped communicating the details that he used to communicate, and it became really apparent that something was going on between him and Steve. Steve would call, Steve would say, "Hey, where's my link?" And he wasn't on the show that was going to be on that night. And I didn't even know who was going to be on the show that night. And sometimes I wouldn't know those details till like 15 minutes prior to the show. On the last night, which was what, Tuesday? Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. I found out that there was going to be 2 shows, and I didn't know that I was going to be doing 2 shows that night. And YouTube was messed up, so the first show never actually kicked off because we would start the stream and it would never start on the channel. So anyway, the last show was supposed to be between Red's Rhetoric and Steve, or Red's Rhetoric and some flat earther. It was supposed to be a debate. And Red's Rhetoric had told Kyle in my presence that he was not going to do any more shows without Steve, because him and Steve are friends. And Kyle was like, okay. And it became very apparent that this was going to come to a head, because Kyle did everything he could to get the flat earther to show up. It's just been it's in my head, it's 2 people that could not get their communication in order. And it's very sad, because from a certain perspective, I respect all the people involved, but the way Kyle handled this, shutting down the lines of communication, if he had a complaint with Steve, he should have taken that up with Steve and fixed it. And he said he tried several times. Well, you could have tried harder, obviously, because Steve, and you can't, and to the point, you can't dissolve a partnership like that. You just can't end a partnership because you want to. It's a business partnership. You can't unilaterally kick a 50-50 partner out of a business. So Steve wanted to see the financial statements, and he had to hang out with Red's Rhetoric and I after that, because Kyle just kind of forced it to go out into the public. We tried that conversation, which was, I was like, I'm done. I'm autistic. I'm not one to sit there and try to communicate between two people. I'm not, and Kyle kind of lost a lot of respect from me because he asked me to lie for him about the fact that Steve had lost his management access and the reasons why after the fact. So I was like, not going to do that. So it's been a really tough thing for me because I wanted it to work. I wanted it to continue because I enjoyed the Non-Sequitur show. I was one of the first people to subscribe to the channel. I was there before the first stream they did together and announced the show. I was listening to it. I've been there since the beginning. I haven't been producing since the beginning. Frankie from the Geek Room produced it originally when it became a YouTube channel. And I took over because Frankie spread himself a little thin. He needed some time off, and people liked the fact that I could stream in high def and all this stuff. So it's just something I happen to be really good at. In fact, scientist Mel has asked for my help on several occasions.
I have, and you do help me out a lot when we connect and you're free. So, and also congrats on going on with the Geek Room. I'm happy for you. That's amazing.
Yes, and it's tough because I respect Godless Engineer, I respect Shannon Q, and to watch these people be torn up over this stuff and act, in some cases, act out of pure emotion when I respected them because they didn't have so much emotion about certain things. It's just, it tears me up. It's been really tough on me. And Kyle has been trying to talk to me on Facebook, and I don't even know how to even say anything to him. That's where I'm at. Like, he keeps asking me if I would go back, if we had a contract and he paid me, etc. And to me, it's not necessarily about that. It's about the integrity of the situation.
Yeah.
And that's why I will not go back to producing the show. And Kyle, if you happen to be watching this stream at some point in time, that's my answer. I'm not going to produce the show because it would be like betraying somebody who I consider a friend, and it's no betrayal to you to not produce it. It's a betrayal to Steve if I do produce it. So I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
Hey, Bullionator, have you considered maybe like drafting something and just sending it to him, sharing exactly how you feel, how you view things going down, and really laying out to him?
It'll take a while for me to put that together, but that's probably what I will do. I'll probably write him an email. I'm not gonna do this over Facebook Messenger or anything like that.
Yeah, to me it just seems like he needs a bit of reflection.
Yeah. I think also this might be a bit cautionary if somebody is so quick to throw away people like their tissues. It's clear that at least the feels that I'm getting or whatever, people are kind of disposable on that channel. It's a bit. I mean, you have the co-owner who was kind of thrown out, Bullionator who was kind of thrown out and asked to lie, and you know, it's like, I mean, it questions the integrity of the show, but also, I mean, who else could be on the chopping block in the future if you continue on with the channel like that? I mean, you know, and I can't predict the future per se, but I've already been public why I won't be on the channel again, why I won't be on the show. But I'm not surprised this has happened, because I've been on the show before multiple times, and the behavior and the transition that I've seen between back in the early days, the behavior amongst the people involved, and the behavior the last time I was on the show was shocking. And I'm like, okay, the feedback that I tried to work, and I tried to get feedback from both about the behavior. It's just, I am honestly not surprised that this has happened, because the tone that's there prior to streaming and after streaming and during streaming, it's changed. But if he's willing to throw out Steve, and he's willing to throw you out and say, oh, wait, no, come back, people are clearly disposable if they're not useful to him. And that's a problem that I personally have. And, I don't know. I wouldn't be working with a channel like that in the future. And some of my academic friends won't work with non sequitur because of how I was treated. So it's just.
And here's the thing. Here's what I actually think should happen with the non sequitur show.
Mm-hmm.
The money be damned. Whatever happens with the money, that's between Steve and Kyle at this point. I honestly don't really even need that money at this point in time. And if I do happen to receive anything from it, fine. That's fine. I'm not going to ask for it. It'd be nice, but that's not the point. If Kyle didn't want to work with Steve anymore, they should have just amicably dissolved the channel, made it an archive, and put it in somebody's name, so that it was all demonetized and you could just go reference videos, but no new content would be added. That would have been a way for it to go. Honestly, I think that's the way it should go right now.
So I wanted just really quickly, I wanted to ask Mel regarding the situation. When you say the non sequitur show and the way that you were treated, are you referring to all the hosts equally, or are you saying that you noticed a disparity in how you were treated from other people? Unfair.
I noticed a disparity between how I've been treated in the past versus now. Also, the treatment of a person who was not on that stream, who one of the things, it was for the, should we give people a platform or not? And my stance was that no topics are off limits, but be careful who you give your microphone to. That I just erred on the side of caution. But that was completely misrepresented. I'm actually a sexual assault survivor, and Kyle knows that. He put me in a position on the show where he wanted to bring in somebody that he felt was a reformed incel. I'm not comfortable with that, and I shouldn't have to sit there and constantly defend myself why I don't want to talk to a man that's nice to you suddenly, and that's enough evidence for you to be convinced he's not an incel. And I got a lot of vitriol in the side chat for that. I had rape comments in there, and to my knowledge, Kyle never once on the show apologized for that, and he never condemned all of the hate that I was getting because I was called a bigot, that I was closed-minded. I lost a couple of subscribers because I got jumped on, and so that there were rape jokes prior to the live stream and rape jokes after the live stream that went unchecked.
That's
so
happened to me before on the channel as well.
Yeah, I don't feel safe on the channel.
Not nothing comparable to being a sexual assault survivor, of course, but if you bring something up that one of the hosts, and to me, I'm going to be straight. I'm not the biggest fan of Steve anymore. I'm not.
Steve wasn't even on the show. It was Kyle, and Shannon Q came to my defense, so I appreciate that. But everybody else, it felt like it was just dogpile. In my opinion, was not any different than Ocean's. But nobody made rape comments about Ocean. Nobody, jumped on him for him literally agreeing with me and having the same stance. But I'm the one who received it. I don't feel safe on the show because, they don't openly condemn horrible comments. They'll go on other people's channels and talk about it. But I to this day, I've not had a public apology, and I've flat out said I don't feel safe on the show. So once that happened, I'm like, okay, this is not the show that I'm used to. And Kyle knew my past, and he put me in that position. And I said no, and that wasn't good enough for him. I had to justify. And so that was a problem. So,
and I noticed that there's been a big shift from the shows we did originally. Like the original show I did was the Telltale Atheist, and Lloyd, who are both ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was about the Jehovah's Witnesses. That was me. I was actually co-hosting with Kyle on that show, as well as producing it. And that's what kind of launched me into the producer platform. But we had a lot, we had like Rick Efrag over the coins and the Egyptology, and Misha Griffith, and all that intellectual content just kind of stopped. And a whole bunch of this, I hate to say it, but social justice crap came up.
Well, I mean,
why you hate to say it? If it's true, it's true.
I mean,
It is true, it shows a little bit of a hypocrisy, because sometimes they would condemn people, like with rational. I'll bring up Rationality Rules. Rationality Rules is a really good example of this. Rationality Rules made a bad video. He made a mistake in that video, and everybody agreed that it was wrong, and he even said he screwed up. He issued an apology. The ACA came out and said we mishandled it, but when Steve did the same thing, the very people that were backing Rationality Rules were vitriolic against Steve. So that's a little bit of hypocrisy there for you. Yeah. I'm not going to name names as to who is doing that, but he's one of the people that is, talking with Kyle. Obviously, these people are talking with Kyle. I'm not saying that they're having a formal conspiracy to oust Steve, but they're probably venting problems that they have with Steve to Kyle.
Yeah.
And Steve can be a little abrasive sometimes, especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
He and I had our own fallout. We just don't talk about it anymore.
I think I know who you're talking about, Bullionator. One of them's a freaking huge simp who white knights all the time, and the other one is a borderline personality disordered person. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and so it's the hypocrisy of that, and just the hypocrisy in general. Like, you have a show, you're supposed to have the show be about opinions being sacred. But when your own co-host airs his own opinion, and you don't agree with that opinion, you just kick him off the show.
Yeah,
and that goes
Jim
back
had
to what
something to say.
Scientist Mel was saying about people being disposable. So
Yeah.
I have something after you that I want to add.
Go ahead, Melody. I'll talk after you.
Okay, so an example that I find particularly hypocritical, that last show that I was on, the whole reason Chrisiosity was the one who asked Kyle to put this show together, because she had an issue with JF Garapay, who has allegations of raping a mentally challenged girl who has the mentality of a 12-year-old and trying to coerce sex out of her and remove her. And there's court documents associated with the family having to go to court to try to fix the situation, and he skipped town before prosecution had happened. So that was the whole reason for that platform. And the thing that I have an issue with is that they gave me so much flack for not talking to an incel. But the first thing that they said, and the reason why Chrisiosity wasn't on that talk, is because JF Garapay was, we weren't allowed to talk about him at all. That was a topic that was not allowed. So for these opinions that matter, the whole purpose of that show is to talk about the fact you have a white supremacist who rapes mentally ill women. Why are you putting him on there? But he was not a topic that was allowed. And so Chrisiosity said, I'm not touching this, I'm out. And the moment she left, Kyle said, well, fuck her. And then rape jokes were happening right before she left. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to stick this out, because it's just me and Ocean with the same perspective. And then you had Kyle, Shannon, Katie Joy, Gaulis Engineer, and James, who all had the same idea. So it was not a balanced talk, but that was a topic that was off limits. And so I got reamed for saying, well, you're saying how we're going to run our show, that there's, no topic is off limits. I'm like, well, we literally were not allowed to talk about that man.
Another beer, please.
So I find the hypocrisy there. I mean, it just, and they said, well, you can't come up with the court documents right now, so we're not going to talk about it. And come to find out, they had been told about that already. And, so it's just.
Well, I agree with you at least on one thing. Like like the platforming aside, like if you don't want to talk to someone, you shouldn't have to.
Yes.
You shouldn't have to explain yourself why you don't either.
Yes.
Somebody can't put a gun to your head and say, no, you're going to talk to this person or else. So like what, I don't understand what the, what the is behind that.
To be criticized for that when we literally were not allowed to talk about JF Garapay, and that was a non-topic that was not allowed for that particular stream. That's why I kind of get with David on his hypocrisy. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Yeah,
you're the host, man. Can I talk yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, before I start my shit, let's get ahead of the game. We got some questions in live chat. Who wants to go first? I'll just do them randomly. Let's see. Melody, if you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
If I was a what?
If you were a hot dog, it's a yes or no question.
Would I eat myself? Well, I would have to be
a yes or no answer.
I guess not, because that would require flexibility that I'm not capable of doing. So
nice.
Okay.
Nice, witty. Okay. Jason. Oh no, this one's better for Dave. How a lot of people don't know even the origins of what we're talking about. Someone more than one person is asking how this all started. I'm gonna circle back around to you, and we're gonna end with that one though. Jason, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a taco.
That just blew my fucking mind.
It's a freaking wiener dog. God.
All right, remember that question, Dave, because that's going to be the last what I'm going to end on, because some people just don't have they don't have the background to this. They want to be filled in from the beginning. But I got a couple things I want to say, some prepared statements, so I'm going to do that now. Our show's motto 2.5 years ago is then as it is now, to build bridges, to find common ground, and to have fun. Up until now, even though all four of our hosts, Courtney, Chris, TJ, and me, we wildly disagree on a number of topics. We're all over the socio-political spectrum. We get along. We fight like cats and dogs, but we make up, and we try our very best to stay rational. If the rest of you please use that as an example for the rest of the atheist community. And I am going to blow my own horn a little bit here, because this is the way you handle things. All right, so there's that. We've been like Switzerland, and me personally, I've tried to stay as neutral as I can. This is the very first time in 2.5 years that we've actually spoken out, and I don't like calling it sided with somebody, but we could not sit on the sidelines for this one. We had to address this. This is the first time we've openly spoken out against another human being. We only speak out against ideas up until now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let me just get all through this.
As far as some drama goes,
you guys can take notes too, because this is only going to take like 3 minutes though. We tried to stay out of all the rationality rules thing. The atheist community in Austin, look in our library. We didn't even talk about it. We had our own opinions. We're not going to cash grab that shit. We're not going to jump on it. And we're not cash grabbing now. We just feel like this is the time we need to get something off our chest. We stayed silent for 2.5 years. This is an injustice. It needs to be addressed, and it needs to be rectified. Shannon Q and Jimmy, Mr. Atheist, as far as I know, we are still on great terms. We are still great friends. I've had them both on the show. I've collabed with both of them. I hope that this doesn't damage our relationship with them. As far as John and Caitlin go, as far as Godless Engineer and Caitlin Chloe go, we've had our differences in the past, and some of the things I've seen, and I will go ahead and say that I've seen a couple. They were meant to be private. They're screenshots of what meant to be private text, but they're out there now. They're in the public record. They're very damning. It's very tribalistic, very Lord of the Flies, and it hurts my heart. We've had our differences in the past. I don't hold grudges. I don't hold anything. If anyone, my life's an open book. If anyone wants to know what happened between me and them, ask about it, because I'll tell you. All right, so we've had our differences. I'm not targeting anyone right now except Kyle. Kyle is the one that made this mistake. Anyone that's supporting him, we're not going to turn this into Lord of the Flies. It's not a tribalism thing. I don't hold any ill will, and anyone that's supporting him for whatever reason they support him for. I'm only want Kyle to rectify this situation. That being said, I hope to be able after this to go to pretend it never happened and go back to being the same old Jim everyone fucking loves, that Mr. trying to keep the peace, Mr. bringing Bionic Dance and Steve McRae on, or Anti-Ordinary and Faith Whisper. Remember, we get a lot of atheists. They come on the show and try to work things out, and we got about a 80% success rate. We're supposed to be that neutral place. People come on the show and try to work things out. Next to maybe Hemet Mehta and maybe Anthony Magnabosco, and I can think of a couple more. I'm the most anodyne son of a bitch there is. I'm the most non-confrontational. Even when we get Christians in our studio, never one. Oh, okay, there has been one exception, but aside from one Christian who got pissed off because Aaron Ra got on under his skin a little bit. Aside from that one Christian, every other believer that's come to our studio has shaken our hands and exchanged phone numbers, and we ended up being best of friends with them. That's how I want to go back to.
I mean, Aaron isn't representative of our platform. We just had him on an episode.
But that's a side note. But that Christian that got pissed off, he blamed me because I invited Aaron I invited Aaron to the studio, and he felt like it was an ambush, so he blamed me. Anyway, that's another. But if anyone wants to hear that too, there's four hosts. I've already said that. There's 4 hosts of this show. I'll even show you our profiles on the socio-political spectrum. We've actually done the test. We're all over the map. We don't agree on everything. Just now, before I started talking, TJ said white knight. I would never say white knight. Me personally, I will not say SJW. That I think that term's a pejorative. I would say social justice advocate. So when people are, if people want to badmouth Atheist Edge, badmouth Jim Hall, badmouth TJ Tuttle, badmouth Courtney Stewart, badmouth Chris, but don't badmouth all of us because we're all over the damn map. Unless you just hate all 4 of us. In that case, go ahead. And that is it. So to Dave, what was the question? Oh, how did this all start?
How did this all start? I don't even I'm not sure what frame of reference that's in. If they're talking about the actual row, it's hard to say. It kind of being behind the scenes that way for as long as I have been, it snuck up on me because I have been dealing with my own in real life things. Like I said, I've been unemployed since then. I'm starting a new job on Monday, so that's good news. Yay. But it's been kind of creeping up. But the communications have been breaking down. Like if you look at the Non Sequitur show's schedule on their public website, it's not filled out. There's nothing in there, and there really hasn't been anything filled in since March. So that used to be where I would go to find out how to set up the show so that it was ready for the X number of people to come in, for example. And, instead I'm having to ask Kyle an hour or 2 hours before the show, what's going on tonight? And I shouldn't have to ask the question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the lack of communication from Kyle it's probably been going on since I would say around November. It's when it started. So it's tough to say exactly when.
Yeah. So my question though, the question I had in my mind, I tried to reach out to Steve to talk to him, but he's been really busy. So I'd imagine that's why he hasn't been able to respond. But I'm like, how do you have a business for 2 years and never see a dime of the money or never ask the person that you're partnering with, hey, where's my cut? How does that, what's the genesis of that thought process? I don't understand from Steve's point of view why he didn't be more diligent in being like, hey, we're getting revenue from this channel or from this show. I need my revenue, my share of the revenue. Why does that not come up the first time you get revenue from a show?
Right. And I was under the impression that it had for a long time. I didn't know that Steve wasn't getting a cut till Steve announced it on his own channel. And that threw me for a loop. I was like, whoa, wait, you haven't seen a dime? Are you kidding me? Like, and Kyle hasn't shown you how much has come in? The only way we have any clue of how much the show has made is because up until recently I had manager privileges on the channel and I could go look. And we're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the YouTube channel. There's the Patreon, there's Streamlabs, there's Teespring. Those are all sources of revenue for the channel. And if it's a partnership in a business, then my understanding of that is they're both entitled to it and they both should have access to the books.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. I was like, how did Kyle manage to become the sole custodian of the financial records? Like, I don't understand. I know Steve was saying something about
SEO. I know only a
something
little.
like that.
Dave,
yeah.
can you clue everyone in what SEO is and how it works?
Well, it stands for search engine optimization. So when you have a YouTube video and you know the tags you put on it, well, the tags are what Google uses to make it so when somebody searches for that tag, your video pops up. And you want to optimize that so that things that are pertinent to that video pop up. For instance, if you're doing a response video to somebody else, you want to at least copy all their tags so that when somebody's done watching their video, your video is in there as a suggested video next so that they can see the response. That's something that a lot of people don't know. Plus, if there's any other subject matter in there, you want to address that so that if that's searched, it comes up. Because YouTube has voice recognition, but it's not that great, and sometimes it makes really funny mistakes. So it's better to do it yourself.
But what can you see that being a reason why Kyle originally, even though Steve was the one that created the channel originally, can you see that as a reason why Kyle would want complete ownership? So if he was the one that was savvy in optimizing the search engine results?
That's where I'm just as confused as everyone else on that. Like, I don't understand what SEO has to do with ownership of the channel, because I could have gone in and changed the tags.
Can I ask you this?
Steve could have gone in and changed the tags. Kyle could change the tags. Anybody who's a manager on a YouTube channel can change the tags on the videos and the channel itself.
Right. I don't know if there's much more. I should know by at this point, but can I ask you this? Do you, based on what you know right now, and I'm sure you've seen all the footage behind the scenes and everything, what is your best? Do you think that there is a first off, do you think there's a moral case to be made? How do you see this playing out? How would you like it to see it played out as of right now?
Well, I would like to see. Obviously, Kyle and Steve are going to go their separate ways. That's not something that I could ever see being reconciled at this point. I think what actually happened behind the scenes with Kyle is he had some expenses come up and he had access to the funds, and he may have spent a little bit more than what was his cut. And he said, well, I'll pay it back. And he realized he did it once again and once again, maybe. And this is just hypothetical. I'm not saying this is what happened because I really don't know. But hypothetically, he might have just never really got to the point where it hit his guilt button. And now he realizes that he can't pay Steve. And if Kyle, if you're listening to this at some point, if you can pay Steve, know that Steve wants to see the financials. Yeah. It's not just the fact that you have the money. It's the fact that he doesn't even know what should be his cut or what should, be... Right. But going forward, what I'd like to see is if Kyle wants to do shows with these other people, let the non sequitur show die. let it be an archive. Keep it on the side so that people can go in and look at the videos that we've made. Look at all the wonderful videos that we made in the first half, or that we've made over the time, because there's been some good ones lately too. We had Lawrence Krauss on, for example, and because that particular content is good, and it shows. We've got thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on some of these videos, and they're still getting views, and they're almost over a year old, some of them. So, but go make a new show with those people that you want to make shows with.
Yeah. Well,
and same goes to Steve. Like Steve and Red's Rhetoric, I believe, are planning something between them. But if you're going to go into business, people, get it in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
get it in writing. Don't leave anything to chance, because Steve's mistake in this was to not formalize this in a contract. He got lucky because some of it is in emails, etc.
Yeah, and I think that'll be binding because there's consideration there.
Right, and a handshake is legally binding, but people have brought up too in other videos that a spoken word cannot last forever.
No, I think in California it's a year.
Yeah, it's a year. But so Steve got lucky with the emails, but I think it might be a little bit more nuanced than that, because I'm not a lawyer, but business law and the fact that it is a business and you're partners, it's a little like if two people owned a convenience store together and one guy decided I don't like the guy anymore and he changed the locks on him. And that was his only source of income. Well, what can you do if you never formalize that was your place of business too? You only have your word. And Kyle, unfortunately, also admitted that for his part that it was a 50-50 partnership. So they it was mutually assured destruction the moment they brought it up.
Yeah.
I'd very much like to chime in because I'm reading the chats here, and there's some insights. So if you guys could give me just a minute here to say what I got to say. I was looking, there's somebody in the chat named TomTom34 Bravo, and he brought up something that I am very well versed in, which is the VA's expectations about finances and things of that nature regarding Veterans Affairs law. Apparently, this is according to the individual in the chat. This is not from me, but I do know that Steve has said that he doesn't receive VA benefits. This is something very important to acknowledge in this case. It could very well be that Steve, if he is receiving aid, he's only permitted to actually receive up to a very, he's only permitted to receive up to a very limited amount of income and still qualify for his disability.
I can actually speak to that specifically.
Please do.
Okay, first of all, Veterans Affairs and any benefits one receives from the VA itself are not. They don't care. Your income can be whatever. I was making 90 grand a year at my old job, and I was still getting my little 617 from the VA every month.
Okay, respectfully, I have to stop you there because you're not as informed as you otherwise could be. All right, there are several distinct categories. For one is called TDIU, which is total disability, independent individual.
But wait. The reason I said I could speak specifically because I know Steve's situation. Okay. Steve is rated at a 0% disability.
Okay.
So he's service connected with disabilities, but he's rated at 0.
Understood.
So that's medical covered, and this is about medical. This is not about pension at all. It has nothing to do with pension. It has nothing to do with compensation. It's strictly medical. And Steve doesn't use the VA because it's too far away for him to get there. He is receiving Medicaid or whatever it is you get when you're not making any income.
Right.
And that is literally the threshold that they're talking about.
Okay, yeah, when you're receiving zero, the amount of care that you can receive covered by the VA is broken into categories. So if he's at 0%, he has the least amount of coverage. He's got to pay co-pays.
Right, there's co-pays and everything. It's like having one place where insurance is valid, and that's the VA clinics and hospital system.
And even then, you got to pay sometimes like 50% of the total surgery cost or whatever. It's
right.
really so.
It's very specifically spelled out, and it doesn't really have much to do with your income, from what I understand. And I'm a vet too, and I'm at 40%. So I mean, I know the difference there. I get compensation for it. Like I said, that's what the 617 is. It's my 40%.
What branch?
You've read my mind.
What branch am I? I was Army.
Me too.
Hoorah.
I was a medic.
Dude, oh my God, Bull!
You gotta
like,
come on.
You got to come on the show, and we talk just Marine shit after sometime in the future.
Well, I'd also have to be part of that too, so I can make fun of you guys with your crowns and your helmets.
If you guys saw my Facebook page, I sent a funny meme. It said it had a picture of a bumper sticker that's something Navy bumper sticker, and it said, "I'm getting tired of all these gay pride bumper stickers."
Yeah. Huh?
And to clarify,
I was Navy.
I've been watching the chat here, and Tom asked, "Why would Steve postpone payments?" Steve wasn't trying to postpone payments. He was just trying to be careful. Kyle and Steve. Kyle said he wanted to postpone it till after taxes. Steve's been asking after this for quite some time, and I think that's where the communication started breaking down, because Kyle wasn't answering the questions. So,
yeah.
Hey, just as a point of clarification, you did say you were Army, right?
I was Army, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm the only Army guy on here other than you.
Wait, no, Dave said he was a Marine. Didn't he?
No,
Nope.
I reiterated because we're confused.
I am not a
okay.
Thank you for
Oh,
your
we're
service.
outnumbered by soldiers then.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's cool though.
The old dog faces.
Oh goodness.
I was a 91 Bravo.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I was a 31 Romeo, then 25.
Okay, all right. Let's stay back on point. I don't want to hear your Yankee Charlie X-ray Foxtrot.
Let's cut down on the sword fighting.
I'm curious, like, I'm sure everybody wants to know, and this sucks, man, because I'm asking you to call somebody out, right? But the community, I think, deserves to know at least a little bit about this. So do you feel like, let's say, if Kyle was to approach Steve, that Steve would have been open to discussing the future of the Non Sequitur show?
I think he might have been a little, like if Kyle had said, "Hey, dude, I don't want to work with you anymore. Can we split?" As a hypothetical, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like an amicable disagreement, split the show, do whatever they have to do. Do you think Steve would have been okay with that?
Yeah, as long as it was done in a fair fashion, I'm sure Steve would have been fine with it.
Okay, because the perception that I'm getting, and I think that most people are getting, is this really just kind of came out of the dark. And when you have a business and you go into a partnership, and unfortunately this happens a lot, you get into these emotional breakups. It's almost like a divorce, where there's arguments and no hashing everything out. I just kind of feel like Kyle just went overboard and literally stole his partner's interests in the company. That's the way I view this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly
9%
seems
of
that
the world
way.
believes that.
Yeah.
And some people are bringing up my cut, and this should have been a little bit of an alarm bell on my own head, because when I first started producing, Kyle and I did discuss what I would charge to do the show. Now, I had no idea how much work I would put into this. Obviously I hadn't, I didn't know what it would take. I said, let me do a few shows and we'll talk about it. And I said, all I really want is some graphics, which have not materialized. And I kind of gave up asking after them. So
you weren't even paid?
Well, I mean, I was getting to that. I have been paid. I have been paid. But if you were to break it down for hours worked, I have been paid less than $1,000
Wow.
for the amount of time that I've put in. And $300 of that came from Steve McRae himself out of his personal account.
Oh,
Wow.
Because Steve was not getting paid from the show, which I would have never taken that money from Steve. I thought that was coming from the show when Steve gave it to me.
Oh my God.
That's even worse.
So
I honestly, if I were you, I would, if you're able to, they might have a lawyer at the VA or something to try to look through and see what is the net worth of your work associated with the current value of all of the monetization, and kind of throw that in there too, man. If I'm honest, that's pretty shady and that's wrong.
You are
Right.
responsible for all the interest and everything, though, right, David?
and to wit, the agreement part of that is to pay the internet bill, which they need to be paid for me to actually do my job. So that's a channel expense that could actually be written off as a channel expense, not as payment to me.
So they gave you money for you to pay for your internet that you use for their show, and
Right.
that's all they gave you.
Well, and there was a couple times when I was having a hard time making rent. I actually, because I was
Okay, you should have been paid more than $1,000, especially since how much money that particular show is making, and they could not have done without your work. So I'm trying. I don't really get angry, but I'm trying really not hard not to get punchy, boo, because I like you. We friends, and I just. I held a 12-hour live stream trying to raise money for you because I care about you. So it's like,
wow, I didn't know that, Mel.
This is Mel and I's relationship. She was having a stream and I popped in, and then she went offline and we talked for 4 hours about science and all this other crap after the fact. It was like really wild. I was like, oh, it's a kindred spirit here. Somebody who thinks about science and thinks science is cool too. And because my previous job, I was a microprocessor engineer and I was working on 3 nanometer.
I remember we were talking about all of that, and it's just, and then you're like, I need the anti-homeless fund. I'm like, you know what, let's hit this up around Christmas. We're gonna have a 12-hour live stream. So it was a joint effort from multiple people, and we raised money for him, so he could. And as an aside, I asked NonSequitur to help me, and they didn't. So I just want to make that vocal. I did ask Kyle and Steve. And I said, could you please help me out with this? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then they just blew me off. So
and Steve helped me out.
Well, that's good. I'm glad he stepped up and helped you. So that's nice.
Good. And there's been times when I've got a bill, Kyle, I need paid, like my electric bill once or twice came up. And there's been the amount is never a specific amount. Like this last before all this shit went south at the beginning of June, he gave me $100. Okay, well, my internet bill is $40. So you're paying me $60 to do 30 shows. That's $2 a show.
Oh, God.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, please talk to a legal aid if you can at your VA and see what they can do, because that's just wrong. There's absolutely no reason for Kyle to not give you some kind of decent wage for what you've done. I'm sorry. I'm right. I'm really trying not to punch things. So I'm just sit here and smile and hold my breath.
But good news, good feelings going forward, because I've got the Geek Room coming up, and Frankie's already said how much he's going to pay me.
Good.
And I've agreed to it. I've agreed to it in writing, no less, because it's on Messenger.
All right, yeah, I don't want to cut you off, but Jim had something that he wanted to.
Sorry, I got 4 things. I'll just shotgun you guys in the face. First, Dave, you were talking the Geek Room, and I just wanted to throw out there, if you guys have not, go to the Geek Room, and it's awesome. You're going to be a part of that. Go to the Geek Room and look up "Where's the Love" video. Bring a box of tissues, because that shit'll make your ass cry. I watched it again today after about a week, and it'll choke you up. It's really good. And so it's a huge collab that all of us got involved with, but it's, man, they really did a good job. Second thing, I wore the shirt for Melody. I wanted to show her. It's one of the only science shirts I have, but it says naturally selected. It's got the evolution.
Yay. You know, I have merch now. You can get you a Cam Girl for Science shirt.
Oh, go ahead and plug that. Plug
Okay.
that shit. Where
All
can
right.
I find it?
So really quickly.
I would normally not agree with the whole cam girl scene, but if for science, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Cam Girl for Science.
There's the thing behind that. There's a woman actually that appears a lot on Non Sequitur, and she ended up blocking me. I have a locked account that it's a private account, and all of my social media for my private self has to be locked because I have an online stalker who stalked me for almost 2 years, stalked and harassed, and had other people doing that to me as well.
That's terrible. Yeah, we had our first.
I was about to.
Yeah, we had our first death threat.
A legitimate death threat.
Oh,
They
God.
said they were at our front door. His name was Ahmad, and we just happened to be talking about Islam at the time. And he said, "We're at your front door. Open it up and get down."
Oh my gosh.
And then he somehow got my personal phone number, called me 6 times. I answered it twice, and he just said, "Is this the podcast?" And I heard our podcast in the background.
Oh God, it's awful because it's so S.J. Thomason, who's known as Lead 1225 on Twitter, she insinuated that my locked account is a cam girl account, and so she doxed that account. And I'm like, and she's like, she's posing in sexual positions. I have to keep that account, and it's locked. There's nothing naked of me on there, but I'm like, it's because I have to have it for evidence. It's evidence purposes. So because my stalker called me at my university, I left my PhD program. I got my master's and left my PhD program because he wouldn't leave me alone. So I have a master's. I could go to another university and get a PhD if I want to, but I've had to go through, I had 2 years of harassment from this man. And so I have to permanently lock all my personal social media. So she was using that to try to discredit me. And so I'm like, you know what? And so I took that. I'm like, you know why I have a locked account? This is why. So fine, I will be a cam girl, but I will be it for science. So I just took it. I have a whole cam girl for science intro. I throw on my video. I'm like, fine, I'm going to take this. I'm going to run with it. So people have been buying cam girl for science. And I have a whole section of blocked by. It's called blocked by merchandise, where if people have poor behavior on social media, I put it on t-shirts and then I donated all the money to charities that they hate.
Have you been blocked by Steve Shives yet? Because if you haven't arrived yet.
Yeah, you have to be blocked by Steve Shives too.
I've been blocked by S.J. Thomason. I've been blocked by David Avocado Wolf. I've been blocked by PETA. So PETA's, all the money for blocked by PETA goes to the World Wildlife Foundation. All the stuff for S.J. Thomason goes to like Planned Parenthood. And
the thing is, as long as you're getting blocked and not blocking, well, I mean, you can do what you want. Our show, one of our other mottos is we don't block, ban, censor. We're the pure marketplace of ideas, but that's just us. I know some people, some people don't have that thick alligator skin and they need to block, and I respect them for that. I got 2 more things. Let me just get it. The third thing was Frustrated Atheist. I'm going to go ahead and send him a link to join because I think he has some special insight legally. But what he's saying right now, I'll encapsulate the first part, was this is something, it goes contrary to what I have been looking at from some legal experts since this shit started on the 11th. But he's saying that according to this lawyer in California, if a oral contract goes over 1 year, it needs to get put in writing. So yeah, maybe Steve doesn't have as much legal footing as I thought he did. Maybe not. But I think court of public opinion is in his favor, and I think morally we know what's right.
And it's tricky.
Before let me just get this out, and I'll turn the table over to everyone. Jason, I'm going to let you answer this, and if you don't know it, I do know it. But Modern Gadfly asks if you know your 12th general order. Do you know it?
12th general order. I'm gonna let Marines in on a little secret. There is no 12th general order in the Army.
Okay, there is, but what is it commonly? There is no 12th general order, but what is it if there were one?
Let's see.
Sorry for getting off on a tangent. We'll come right back, though. I'm sorry. I promise.
No, I mean, the only one I remember off the top of my head is I'll guard everything within the limits of my posts.
That's the second.
My posts are properly relieved. No, I knew that is your first.
Property in view, to walk my post in a military manner, keeping all on the alert and observing everything that takes place within sight or hearing. That's first. Oh, the 12th one is, if I can remember, Gadfly, this is for you. It is to walk my post from flank to flank and not take shit from any rank.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Now I'll turn the table back. Oh, Dave, what were you saying? And I'm going to go ahead and invite Frustrated Atheist.
Well, I was just going to say, this is where I think that's the one mistake I think Steve made is that, and but to kind of mitigate that, he does have emails which probably would be considered a contract, not a well thought out, or agreements by email could be considered writing at this point in time. So that might work in his favor.
Also, David, the videos where Kyle explicitly states that they had a 50% agreement.
Yes, true, exactly. So it's not just that they agreed in private and there was no record whatsoever of it. So it's a little bit more nuanced than I think some people are trying to make it out.
Hey, really quick, David, just for the benefit of everybody in chat who's watching this program, could you articulate for us what it is you did exactly for the show?
Well, anybody who's done shows for a while knows that there's two ways to do streams. You can use Hangouts, which is what we're doing here, and it's by far the easiest and most common way to have a YouTube channel that is conversational. Or you can have a show where you stream video into the channel through a stream key, and you use software like OBS or XSplit, or in my case, I use vMix. And vMix was a gift from one of our patrons of the past, Jamie Sislow, and he bought it for us because vMix enables me to do so much more. It's the Lamborghini of streaming software. So it lets me coordinate the video. It does all the transitions on the show. It does the titling. It does the scene transitions, everything.
So would it be fair for me to say, for everybody's benefit, that everything that was not specifically Kyle or specifically Steve, you're responsible for creating and orchestrating?
The graphics were done by Kyle, but those are static. I'm the one who brings that to life.
Understood. And it's beautiful work. I think everybody would agree. I actually very much like the transitions and the way that the Non Sequitur show is laid out.
Somebody said that I had said that SJ was a host for a Non Sequitur show. That's incorrect. She's been a guest on there several times, and she's been a mod. And Kyle has been very avid in defending her, regardless of her consistent ways of slandering people and libel, including myself. I actually had to contact my lawyer in the event that she starts to stir up my stalker again. So that was nice.
That is good.
So clearing that up, thank you for pointing that out, Inquiring Mind. I did misspeak, not a co-host or a host, but a guest several times, and Kyle defends her often, though she thinks I'm a cam girl, and use that to discredit my questioning her about nihilism causing depression.
But Mel, you are the best type of cam girl. You cam girl for science. I mean,
I do cam girl for science. So I decided to own that. I now have an intro with that, and I've got t-shirts. I think Shannon Q bought it, my Cam Girl for Science t-shirt. I'm so excited.
I'd like to see your equations.
Oh, come on, man. You're going to skip to juvenile shit.
Hell yeah, we are. At least I
I
will.
could pull up the sexy equation, where
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is there a PayPal link to help Booleanator? You want to throw that out, Bool?
Yeah, it's paypal.me/Booleanator, and I'll type my name in the chat. I don't know if I can put links or not.
Okay, while he's doing that, okay, so the Geek Room has 4 hosts. We have 4 hosts. So I asked them in an earlier live show on their show. I asked them, "Hey, have you guys figured out who's who according to Seinfeld?" Right? And so they took a long time trying to figure it out. And so apparently, wait, we got a super chat too.
Yeah.
So Billy is Kramer. So that's my counterpart because I'm Kramer in this group, and Brand is George. So you're Brand. So that's your counterpart over on the Geek Room. But ours fits so perfectly because Courtney is, even though she's higher IQ than all the rest of us put together, she's a total airhead. So she's totally Elaine. And Chris is, he does open mics. Jerry. He does pun offs, competitions. So he's totally Jerry.
He's
and
the funny one.
And I no filter, and I barge into people's house, and I don't give a shit what I say. So I'm definitely Kramer, and he's the rabble rouser, the provocateur. So he's definitely George. So it works out perfectly. Anyway,
so you just need to do a skit with Chris when he's like, "So what about the airplane food?"
Oh, he's way funnier than that, man.
Dude, he is fucking hilarious.
He's way funnier than that.
All right, guess who wants in, guys? You get all your talking in now because a windbag's about to come in.
Oh Lord! Somebody said
I'm already here.
Oh, God.
Frustrated. Oh, Dave, you. I'm taking over the show. Sorry, but Dave had something he wanted to say. His PayPal, and then Frustrated came in to talk some legal shit. But I'm not going to even send this invite until both of those are done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead with your go ahead, Boo, with your how to support you.
Oh, it's just I don't know if I can put it in the chat or not. So I already typed my name in the chat. You just put paypal.me/Booleaninator. It'll go. That's me.
It's just his name right there.
All right, Frustrated. Tell us about this legal expert in California and any insight you can share.
Well, the legal expert is not from California. He is everybody knows him. It's Nate Brody, but he talked with Drag. He talked with Drag about the legality of this in California, where Kyle is at, and in California, that if it goes for something longer than a year, it has to be a written contract. Mere words can't just. It's not enough. But when Bull had said about the emails or the text messages and whatnot, that is kind of flimsy. It can go either way in Steve's case, because on one hand, it could be seen as somewhat of a written contract, but if Kyle is able to get a hold of a good enough lawyer, then what would end up happening is he can exploit any and every loophole that could be there in order to make it to where Kyle doesn't have to do anything. Now, before I continue with all of that, I do want to say that I think that what Kyle did was a complete and utter dick move. Nonetheless, there's no sugarcoating it. That is a dick move. I've always been a person that you can count on me by my word, and if you don't have the word of the person who you're speaking with, then what good is that person? So whenever I say that I'm totally against Kyle on this aspect, I am completely against that, because that is a complete and utter dick move. If you tell someone this is what's going to happen, then it should happen that way. It shouldn't be let me get into the technicalities of things so that way I can kind of, without trying to actually screw you over. And that's the way he went, and that is completely and utterly horrendous. But that being said, it's still so far from the legal standpoint, Kyle has no actual legal obligation from what I can tell. There's another lawyer who commented about something that I've been trying to wait to hear back from him, see if he can give better insight on it, just because I'm not going to just take one lawyer's word off this. But as far as I can tell, that's the legal standpoint.
I got you. Hey, so let me jump in right quick. So we had a couple of super chats. So
Wait, what's Bullionator's? What is he on here? I'm gonna try to give him the wrench, but I can't see him.
Oh, let me get it. I'm on mobile, so give me a second.
all right. So just let me get the technical stuff out of the way. So, Mr. Dinvader, probably not the best question to ask, but link to Mel's Cam Girl account is what he says.
YouTube.com.
Sorry, I have to say these things. Yeah, sorry. So
YouTube.com.
I think she's already addressed that though. So, and then what's the link to Drag's campsite? So,
Yeah.
And then Geek Room.
that was the Geek Room.
Oh yeah. So
Geek Room needs their own Camboy site, man.
I know, right? Yeah.
Frank throwing axes, right? That's what we need. Frank throwing axes all day.
Yep.
there you go, Boo. Now you can link your PayPal.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
And I need more burr, so I'll be right back.
I got you. You're the host.
Hey, frustrated, real quick, man. So I understand you're trying to hear back from this other attorney and all that, but
Mhm.
my thing is what about all of the videos over the past couple of days wherein Kyle has actually recorded saying that they did absolutely have a 50% agreement?
That again, since it's because it's been longer than a year, it can just leak from what I understand. Again, from what I understand, from the legal standpoint, he has no legal obligation to uphold that. If this had been made, say, like a month ago, and they've been doing this, maybe. But as far as anything that goes longer than a year, it has to be written in a legal contract.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I thought for sure that might be some sort of legally binding thing, but I guess maybe not in California.
There, maybe not in California. There are some states that do take word of mouth as a legal binding contract. If I'm not mistaken, in TJ, and TJ can correct me, but here in Texas, I think is one of the states where if you have a verbal agreement on something, they classify that as a legal binding contract.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how long, if there's a time limit on that, but
I mean,
since Kyle has on public record kind of agreed that was the agreement or the arrangement, yeah, I think somewhere like Texas, a judge would probably uphold that.
oh yeah.
I can attest to that because Texas is very lenient as far as those things.
Mhm.
Hell,
Is it common law marriage? If you share the same address for 6 months or more, even if you don't want to be your common law,
Right.
I was living with this chick just to take care of my iguanas for over 6 months, and then we went somewhere and they were like, "Oh,
I'll tell you what the biggest one for that. I know this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but the biggest one for common law marriage is if you represent yourself to the federal government as a couple for tax purposes, you are married to that person.
sorry, that's
not only that, but all it really takes is just in a public sphere announcing each other as husband and wife for it to be a common law marriage.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I think I know one person who he had been living with this woman for longer than 6 months. He'd been living with her for years, and had also been kind of introducing as his wife. He's like, basically, she's my wife.
Yeah.
And they had to get a divorce.
Yep.
They had to get a divorce.
Yep.
Even though they didn't go through the process of getting
You
married,
don't even have to live
they were
with
common law.
Yeah, you don't even have to live with someone. If you represent yourself as married, especially to the federal government, and you receive, exemptions under the status of married filing jointly, then you're automatically married to that person.
Yep. Oh, and TJ, I gotta say, I love the beer of choice. I'm a very big Shiner Bock fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Bach fan. Like Jim likes IPAs, but I'm kind of more of a traditionalist.
Aaron Ross got me hooked on Texas dark, like Dunkelweissens and dark Texas craft beers. So every time he comes to our studio, he lives 40 minutes away, so he's always hanging out at our if you guys go back and look at our library,
he's our good buddy.
There's like, there's Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ross just sitting on my fucking couch, just chilling. And I feel like an asshole, but I'm constantly trying. Okay, I got like 12 episodes lined up. And I'm like, I don't want to ask them to be in every one of them, but like, hey,
it'd be nice.
We're good. Do you guys want to talk about homeopathy or crystal rubbing or something.
Oh, God.
Like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
You got to use them while you have them.
Yeah, of course.
Dunkel, just as an aside, Dunkelweissen sounds like a kid that goes to Wonka's chocolate factory and gets.
I lived in Germany for 3 years.
Dunkelweiss is the shit that made me fat. Are you kidding me? I love that beer.
Very rich.
Germany.
The Hefeweizen
Oh.
is that wheat beer. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier.
Before we get too off topic,
That
Before we get
shit's like
off
liquid
topic.
bread, man. It's liquid bread.
Yeah.
before we get
Check out Franzischoner. That stuff is so good, man. It's a Weiss beer.
I can't drink beer. I wish I could. I've tried so many times.
It's great for cooking sausages and stuff into. It's so good.
I use beer for making my barbecue, but I can't actually drink it. It just, I wish I could.
So before we get too far off topic, I just want to say that whenever we did the live, the show, the 24-hour show or 12-hour show or whatever it was for Bull on the Geek Room, I went on there and helped out by those who donated. I think it was like $50. I got on camera and shaved my chest. Boo! If there's anything like that you need, again for anything in the future, just let me know and I will do it.
I would do the same. I would do something similar, but if I did that, you'd probably need more than 12 hours. I'm pretty
Yeah,
hairy.
it was painful to watch. My chest, now you've made my chest itch just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like,
So, it was great though because I had nothing really monetary wise to contribute. So I told them, I was like, look, if someone donates $50, I'll get on camera and shave my chest. And like 10 minutes later, here comes a $50 donation. I was like, all right, I guess it's time to shave my chest on
Thou
camera.
shalt not tempt the internet, thy lord.
Oh my goodness.
should we tell everyone where these challenge ideas came from?
Where the what?
Where the challenge ideas actually came from?
Oh, was it the
Look a
I
Pig?
Look a Pig.
Yeah, Look a Pig is the one that came up with the crazy challenges. And he's done he did a 24-hour stream before with Frankie and Bran for somebody else. It was a long time ago, and I actually ate 8 pages out of my Bible for that. So I people suck about. I know the Bible forwards and backwards. Hey, I've eaten a Bible.
Did those verses come out okay?
Yeah, they did. They did. They came out really right.
Only the most shittiest verses came out of his ass later.
Yep. And so Look a Pig has a very unique idea of how to have a charity stream.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Boo, if you need anything like that again, just let me know and I'll contribute whatever I can.
I appreciate it. Hopefully with this job, if it works out, and I think it will, I'm like a shoe-in for the job. I won't need that ever again. Hopefully this is the last job I'll ever get because it's the last job I'll have in my life.
Yeah.
Let's see. Shoot. I'm taking over, man. I got 2 things. The windbag I was referring to earlier was Steve McRae, but apparently he wants us to come on his show. I thought it was vice versa. So he's waiting for us to end. I'm having fun. I don't give a shit. So let's just keep this going unless you guys want to end it. I think all the save rounds have been spent.
Well, let's get on to the nonsense then.
Okay. And then the other thing is, what was I going to say? Oh, there's a lot of horny guys that want to see Scientist Mel webcam.
Of course.
Oh God.
Oh my God. I have a Patreon and you can honestly, I've had so many DMs. One was offering to be a sugar daddy for me for $400 a week.
Whoa.
So let me just read to you what my response was, because this is fun. I get these so often.
Fun.
Yeah, so let me see. Where the heck is it? It's somewhere in this long mess. You know what? I'll just pull it up on my pictures because I posted this on my Twitter because I get them so often. So essentially, this guy was like wanting $400. He wanted to pay me $400 to be his sugar baby. And he would pay for my utilities. And that he wanted to set up this arrangement to where he could, forward this money to me. Was I interested? That sort of thing. Let me see. Where the heck is it? I tweet a lot. So
Yes, you
anywho,
do.
I'm apologies if you hate that. I'm just gonna pull up my
I'm
screenshot.
just gonna while we're waiting, I'm gonna channel since I am the Kramer in the group. I'm gonna just unfiltered speak this. Andrew Dice Clay once said, "If I were a woman, I'd suck dick till I had a mansion."
Oh, wow.
My
How
God.
nice for you. Okay. Okay, so here it
With all
is.
the simps in the world right now, you'd probably be able to do it, man.
Okay, so he says, "Hello, sexy. I'm Mark. I was going through your profile and you look like someone with an amazing personality. Let's have some good conversation and pleasure. I'm also willing to support you financially or any way I can. Call me Sugar Daddy. I'm looking for an honest sugar baby. I'm setting up an allowance of $400 weekly and also pay off all your utilities bills." He puts those together. "And I'd love to know if you're interested. You can reach me on," then he gives me his phone number, XOXO, and a little kissy emoji. So this is what I said. "Hello. I appreciate your interest. I must tell you that I have an application process. It also requires references from previous women as I need proof of satisfaction with the arrangement. I also require university transcripts in addition to current employment status, as $400 a week can become a burden if your current salary is not high enough. I'm not a predatory bank and do not wish to engage in an arrangement that would financially cripple a person. I am ethical. If this is too much, you can always show your support for my work through patreon.com/scientistmel and reap all the benefits available for your preferred financial tier. Kind regards, Scientist Mel."
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Hey, if you could send him a reply and ask him if he'd be interested in someone with man boobs and a gigantic clitoris.
How about this?
Small penis. That's a
Atheist,
big clitoris.
Atheist
Look.
on Twitter is looking for a sugar daddy. Would you be interested? So I might just send him a message, say, "Hey, he might." I've had half of mine to give the number to my friend Monty from Hannibal and Monty's shit show. They're like, "If somebody gives you their number, just give it to us and we'll call them." So I'm like,
No, all I'm saying is that, I've got rent to pay, so if you want to send him my way too, I'll be more than happy to be, his sugar baby.
He asked me again if I was interested. I said, "Please see the previous statement." So what I might go back and do is okay, so there's several people that are really interested in having you as their sugar daddy. Here are their Twitter handles. They're very nice people, and I'll be happy to hook you up for a fee.
You should have the second time he messaged you, you should have said, "Okay, you got me. Bob and Vagine incoming."
It's
I get
Vagana.
those so often. I have my whole my requests for DMs. It's hi dear, how you doing? You have nice hair. One guy sent me a message. He's like, I love your shows. You have great science. Well, thank you. I really enjoy. I learn a lot from you. I'm like, well, that's nice. Thank you. Because you have great hair. Okay, thanks. He goes, also, are you accepting applications for a husband or lover? Because I like to apply. I mean, he just jumped right, building up. That was his go-to right after that. And I was like, yeah, no.
Well, Mel, that's obviously the logical conclusion after you get through all those other questions.
I asked you about your science. I said I like that. Complimented your hair. Now let's go. I want to get in there. You're like, well, okay, you're ambitious,
right? It's like, hey, I was nice to you, so obviously you have to put out. I mean, come on now.
Oh my goodness! I complimented her hair. That means sex. Oh
Exactly.
God! When I got my Twitter account open, I was going through, and I tend to favorite responses to me because if I get 200 mentions in any given day, so I may not respond, but I want to let people know I did read what you sent, and that's my way of saying I read what you said. I read what you so that way people know I am engaging. And so one guy messaged me. He says, "You favorite all my messages. It's too bad you live so far away. Where do you live?" I'm just like, that's not an invitation for sex. If I favorite your tweet, it does not mean I want to sex you.
No, that's obviously what that means, Mel. I mean, you like all the stuff he has to say, so obviously you want to have him. I mean,
You like every tweet I send you. Like you're like one of 199 today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, gynocentrism don't sleep, yo.
Oh my goodness. I have to turn off my push notifications on my Twitter. And then I'll just go 5 minutes later, 20 plus at the bottom, like, oh my God, okay. And they'll say, Scientist Mel, I need your help with this chat. I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't touching that. Like, well, Scientist Mel does this and come help me with it. No, I'm not touching that either. So mute. I have to mute conversations, man. It's insane. People will pull me into the absolutely most outlandish type of conversation. Like, why did you pull me into this? This isn't even science anything. This is just, look at this dog. It's doing this thing, and I'm angry about it. Scientist Mel, what do you think? I don't care. It has nothing to do with
Scientist Mel, I need to know what you think about the dog and the anger it induces in me.
Is there a show about that? Well, I don't know. Well, I guess maybe there should be now.
I mean, you had the whole entire episode of duck rape. I mean, you have to have a dog show in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Ducks are really rapey. I wasn't expecting it when ducks won that poll. I was like, okay, and then I go, wow, ducks are really rapey and they're necrophiliacs. And female ducks developed really corkscrew maze-like vaginas to deal with it, and they have fake vaginas too because they're raped so often. So they'll close off the real one and let the other one go. Like, yeah, you ain't gonna be the father of this baby. So it sucks to be you. So I mean, it's just, oh my God, ducks are so weird, and they're like one of the only few birds that actually have rapey sex.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why when people I think it's a weak argument when people say in response to Christians when they say like, oh, we're the only species that can be moral because reasons or whatever, and then they try to then people try to point to, oh, well, other animal species can be moral, and that's why that's wrong to make that assumption. But then if you point, there's other behaviors that animals engage in, like rape and stuff like that are definitely not moral.
Tree frogs
gangbang doing it,
Tree frogs gangbang each other. They'll be like.
That's why I always thought that was a bad argument, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you have a female tree frog trying to get to the larger voice frog, and all the little ones that know they ain't got a shot will jump on the female and just like try to get in there while she's trying to get to and there's be like 4 of them, and she's like, I'm in the tree, I'm trying to get to the one, get off me. And I'm like, God, get off of her. So it's like, that's how I feel watching nature animal shows on this.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, and maybe Mel can correct it, but I heard that octopi rip their penises off and throw it at the woman.
I think so, yes. I think that is a thing that happens. And squid, once they mate, they die after that. They lay their eggs and, they have one fun night, and then it's over.
I find it funny because I saw a post on Facebook that had that, and it's like the octopus has the ultimate way of saying, go fuck yourself.
Oh my God, yeah. Pretty much. And then ducks, going back to ducks will actually, and here's the funny thing, they can make their penises larger, but they have to put more tissue on it. So they try to wait until there's less males around. So it's like a better ratio to where they have an opportunity to get with a lady duck. So because it requires so many resources to make their penis larger, and they just add tissue to it and it'll grow. And they'll only get like one shot if they have the largest penis. After that, it's just too much energy to make another one. So
yeah.
You're like, maybe that's our freaks, man.
So they actually, so ducks actually clicked on that email that said enlarge your penis with this one weird trick.
They're like, yay, I don't have to eat so much. Oh my God, let's do this. Less energy. It's weird. Ducks are so strange, man. That was an odd one. I actually had like, because sometimes parents watch my show with their kids. They're like, okay, we're talking about duck rape today. So
Right. I think this was a really productive talk today. So nonsense aside, let's go around. We don't really have anything, any more engagement as far as question wise from the audience at this point. So I'm going to go around and we're going to start from left to right on my screen at least, and then we'll get anything saved from anybody that wants to say anything afterwards.
Plugs, upcoming events.
What we're going to do is we're going to go to Boole, and if there's anything that he wants to let everybody know about, anything that he's doing or anything he's got coming up, I'm going to let him do that, and then after Dave, we'll continue on from there. So, Dave, if you have anything that you want everybody to know about that you're doing right now, or ways to engage with you, let us know right now.
You're muted, Dave.
Dave, you're muted.
Maybe he's not at the desk at the moment.
He may be AFK. All right, so let's go to frustrated atheist.
Well, I haven't been doing anything for a while on my channel, which I hear from some people that I need to go back to doing that. But I do have something that I will be planning on doing for y'all, actually. And then I have a couple other things that are probably going to happen. And you'll see my handiwork on Tattered Philosophy's channel, because he wants me to do an avatar for him for this video he's about to do. And other than that, you can follow me on Twitter. I pretty much point out stupid shit people say, and I
what's your Twitter handle, and where can people engage with you?
Well, on Twitter it is because Frustrated Atheist seems to be too long for Twitter. It's FRSTD _ atheist.
_ atheist. Awesome. All right.
Yes. And then on YouTube, it's Frustrated Atheist. And those are the two places people can get a hold of me if they want me to do something, or if they have something they want to show me or whatever. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let's go back to Dave. I think he unmuted himself, so he probably can talk now. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm doing this on mobile because I started outside and I'm on my computer and I muted and I forgot. So I was actually talking, and then you're like, "Are you muted?" I'm like, "Oh fuck, I did it." Everybody does it.
All right. So where can people engage with you?
You can engage with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Booleanator, just like my name here on YouTube. Of course, there's my YouTube channel. I don't do a lot with it. Patreon is Booleanator. I have a Discord server called Prove It, which you can get from my YouTube channel. I'll make sure that's in the contact info on the About page. I'm going to be doing the Geek Room going forward, helping the Geek Room do their production. And Scientist Mel has offered something as well, I believe.
Yes, if you have time. I know you have like a full-time job, and
right. And the job, it might take me a while to gain more time with the job, because right now I'm on the bus. I'm epileptic. I had a major seizure in 2014 and have been unable to drive since.
Oh, man.
But now I have a service dog who does alert properly.
Good.
So I'm safe to drive, so I can actually get a car, and eventually I will have the same amount of free time as your average Joe with a 9 to 5. So,
dude, I didn't know you were going through all that, man. I really hope everything works out for you, man. I'm really sorry that all this stuff had to happen.
I mean, it's in real life stuff. It happens, and it's kind of used to it. Been epileptic my whole life, so it's not a big deal for me. Although it was scary because I actually saw myself have the seizure because it was caught on video.
Yeah.
I got to watch it.
We really appreciate that people like Mel and others are willing to help out with that kind of stuff. So with that, let's move on to Jason or Ralph, if whatever you prefer us to. Jason's my boy, so go ahead, Ralph.
I don't have anything to offer other than I just want to say thank you to all three of the other guests for coming on, sharing their perspective. I thought it was really great. So thanks.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, we're gonna go to Mel. Before we do that, Jim has one
No, let
or
Mel
two
go
more.
first.
Yeah. Mel's good. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm gonna let Mel go first. I was just letting everybody know that that after Mel does her plugs, that we're gonna have Jim. Jim has got some parting words. So go ahead, Mel. Like where can what are you doing right now that you want everybody to know about that you're doing, and where can we engage with you and support your work?
All right. So I have a website, scientistmel.com. You can go there. I have a shop. I have articles that I write. I post all of my resources there that I do on my live stream. You can go to youtube.com/scientistmel. I stream every Saturday morning for Saturday Morning Science. I have a show on Thursday nights called This Week in BS, which is a bit more edgy when you talk about current topics. We had a great talk on the abortion ban with Dr. Leah Torres, Nate Brody, Atheist Husker, who is a sex educator. And we also had Motel Cowboy, who is an activist. It was a wonderful discussion. And then I have Spirited Science, which you guys, Atheist, been on. We talked about Michio Kaku. And so that's fun. The last time I did that episode was Whiskey Cast. And so, yeah. Whiskey, everything to do with whiskey on the last one.
Have us back anytime you want, because that was a really fun show to do.
That was so much fun. You guys are great. And I actually convert a lot of my shows to audio podcast, which is hashtag Hey Scientist Mel. And I'm making a brand new show, guys, with Doc Savage. I don't know if you're familiar with Doc Savage. He's a Scotsman, but he's actually a scientist, and he helped develop different vaccines. But this is going to be a comedy show because Scotsmen know how to insult. So we're essentially going to
that sounds right up our alley.
Rip apart everything nonsensical that is pseudoscience, and it would be no holds barred on lots of things. And he's absolutely hilarious. And so we're I've got the intros are being developed right now and the show is going to be called Oraldacity, kind of like audacity, but Oraldacity. So there you go.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right, Jim.
Okay, here we go. Shotgun to the face. The Women of Deconversion. Did she already talk? Did Mel already talk about
yes.
it?
I'm also on the Women of Deconversion. I forgot about that.
All right. It's grown. It's got big names. It's got Shannon Q. Bionic Dance shows her face every once in a while. A lot of women, and I don't think any of them are cradle atheists like I am. I think they all were once believers. So they started out with them talking about their journey to atheism, but now they've gone. Now they're off onto all different, the 7 deadly sins, all different things. So it used to be the first Monday night of every month. Now it's the first Monday and Wednesday night of every month. It's on Secular Hangouts. They're criminally undersubscribed, just like I'll tell you later. But you go and subscribe to Secular Hangouts and then hit that bell for notifications. You'll get the Women Deconversion. Our co-host, Courtney, is on, I think, Monday night still.
Yeah, I'm on Monday night with her. So it's first Monday of the month.
Yeah, it's split into 2, though. So there's a Wednesday night one, I believe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of great information there. Second one is, what did I put? Bullionator and Geek Room. Oh, I'm so glad that the Geek Room picked him up. That is badass. I'm looking forward to that. One of the shitty parts about being a content creator is I don't get enough time to be a content consumer.
Yeah.
But I'm already subscribed to them. I got the bell for notifications. I'm very anxious to see what, I've got high hopes for Geek Room, and they're gonna leave us in the fucking dust now that they got Boo. But that's cool because a rising tide.
Challenge accepted.
A rising tide raises all boats, and I hope Geek Room, they're going to explode because of this, and which is great. All right, second thing, I'm going to let you. I'll talk about it. TJ's trying to get Lou Perez back on. He's already been on once. Lou Perez is the host of an internet. It's kind of like College Humor. I'm sure you guys have heard of that, but it's called We the Internet TV. We the Internet TV. Yeah. Get on that and check it out. Lou Perez, he's kind of like TJ. He's a little bit right leaning. He's libertarian. I would call him right leaning because I'm a lefty scum.
Anything left of I'm
a right
the left pole.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we get along, which is great. But
Yeah.
if you want that little like slightly libertarian conservative humor, he's the guy. So we're TJ's trying to get him on. Let me just address one more time. I've had my differences in the past with John, with Godless Engineer, and with Caitlin Chloe. I don't want that to be any factor in me. I am lashing out. I'm admitting that. I'm lashing out at Kyle. Kyle is the cause of this shit. Anyone associated with it or sucking onto it or connected to it is going to suffer some backlash right now. I promise you, I'm going to go back to the old, what everyone's used to, the old anodyne, Switzerland, neutral Jim Hall after this. But right now, I'm fucking pissed. So if John Gleason and Caitlin Chloe, the fact that they got mixed up in this, you're going to get some backlash. Don't take it personally. I want Kyle to make this right. If you're connected to him, if you're supporting him, it's not tribalistic. Don't take it personally. Just you're on the wrong side of this fucking issue. That's all I'm going to say about that. No, I know. Oh, go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. That being said, I'm not going to say anything about that. Yeah. So with all that, we.
No, I've still got more.
Oh, you got. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
way more.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, Kyle's the one that poked the alligator. I've been the sleeping alligator for 2.5 years. And I will go back to that anodyne, Jim, and I'm going to be that guy that you're used to. But right now, I'm fucking pissed. So don't take it personally, anyone except Kyle. Kyle, make it right. August 2nd, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or even if you're not, because it's going to be broadcast on Facebook at, I'm going to be, I wrote a couple books. The second book is called Pulling Back the Green Curtain, 666 Things Your I forget what it's called. What's the subtitle?
Right there.
Fucking 666 things your pastor's never told you. Just look for Pulling Back the Green Curtain. It's written under a fake name, so don't look for Jim Hall. Look for a female's name, Stephanie Chase. But I'm going to be talking about my book. I'm at a book club. There's going to be about 50 to 70 people there. It's going to be broadcast on Facebook at Atheist Christian Book Club Facebook page. And it'll end up on our show eventually, but I'm going to be answering questions to that. What's the other thing? Oh, and you guys were talking about that Michio Kaku show we did with Scientist Mel. Mm-hmm. And were you? No, it was just me and Courtney, wasn't it?
No, I was on.
Oh, you were there too.
She ahead of time she told us, because every time she does one of those shows, she has a different drink associated with it, and it was the Michio Kaku tale, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but me and Courtney both were like, we cannot get through even one of the. They was strong as hell. But anyway, that was a great show, and that is all I've got.
All right, thank you, Jim, for the heads up and the update for all that stuff coming up with the show. With that, I really want to just thank everybody that was a part of this conversation. We had David, aka Bullionator, on. We had Frustrated Atheist. We had Jason Ellis. We had Scientist Mel on the show. And with that, we want to thank also. I want to take this opportunity to thank also. We had some super chats during the live show, and we really want to thank you guys for supporting our work. Everything that you put into the show, definitely we put back in and try to up the quality of sound and production and video. So we really want to call you guys out as the real VIPs. Anybody who monetarily supports the show. So with that being said, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you're up to date on all the stuff that we put out. And with that being said, we want to thank everybody, and we will see you next time on the Atheist Edge. Thank you, guys.